Hello everyone, welcome back to Deep Chemistry, where we make chemistry simple, logical, and fun. In our previous lecture, we built a solid foundation with the mole concept. Today, we will take that concept further and see how it connects to almost every quantitative topic in chemistry. Things like molecular formula, percentage composition, stoichiometry, limiting reagent, molarity, molality, normality, and much more. So grab your notebook. We are about to start the lesson. Let's begin with molecular and empirical formulas. An empirical formula gives the simplest whole number ratio of atoms in a compound. A molecular formula gives the actual number of atoms in one molecule. They are connected through a simple relation, that is, molecular formula equals to n multiplied by empirical formula, where n is molar mass divided by empirical formula mass. Let's take an example. Suppose empirical formula is CH2 and the molar mass of the compound is 28 gram per mole, then the mass of empirical unit CH2 is 12 plus 2, that is equals to 14. So small n will be equal to 28 divided by 14, which is equal to 2. Hence, the molecular formula is C2H4, that's ethene. So remember, empirical formula is the simplest version and the molecular formula is just a multiple of it. Next comes percentage composition, the percentage by mass of each element in a compound. It helps us understand the elemental makeup of any compound. Formula: percentage of element equals to mass of element in 1 mole divided by molar mass of compound multiplied by 100. Let's take an example of water. The molar mass of water equals to 18 gram per mole. For hydrogen it is equals to 2 gram. For oxygen it is equals to 16 gram. So the percentage of hydrogen will be 2 divided by 18 multiplied by 100, that is equal to 11.1%, and percentage of oxygen will be 16 divided by 18 multiplied by 100, that is equals to 88.9%. Simple but very important, because experimental percentage composition is how we determine a compound's empirical formula in labs. Now, the backbone of chemistry calculations arises, that is stoichiometry. It's basically about how much reactant reacts and how much product forms, all based on mole ratios from a balanced chemical equation. For example, 2H2 plus O2 give rise to 2H2O. This means 2 moles of hydrogen combine with 1 mole of oxygen to form 2 moles of water. If I start with 4 grams of H2, that's 2 mole. According to the ratio, I'll need 1 mole of oxygen, which is 32 grams, and I'll get 2 moles of water, which is 36 grams. Stoichiometry gives us this clear relationship between mass, moles, and volume, and it's used everywhere in chemistry, in labs, industries, and chemical engineering. By the way, if you are finding this helpful so far, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Deep Chemistry. Your support motivates me to keep making these conceptual lectures for you. Alright, let's continue. Now, let's tackle one of the most important and commonly misunderstood topics, the limiting reagent. In any chemical reaction, one reactant gets completely used up before the other. That one is called limiting reagent because it limits how much the product can be formed. Let's see it through an example. 2H2 plus O2 give rise to 2H2O. Suppose we have 5 moles of hydrogen and 2 moles of oxygen. According to the equation, 2 moles of H2 need 1 mole of oxygen. So for 5 moles of H2, the required O2 would be 5 into 1 by 2, that is equal to 2.5 moles, but we only have 2 moles of oxygen, which is less than required, so the oxygen will finish first. This is the limiting reagent. Hydrogen is left in excess. Therefore, oxygen controls the reaction shield here. That's why in every quantitative problem we must find which reagent runs out first. It decides everything. Next is molarity, the most common concentration term, molarity. It measures how many moles of solute are present in 1 liter of solution. The formula is moles of solute divided by volume of solution in liters. For example, if I dissolve 1 mole of NaCl in 1 liter of water, it's 1 molar NaCl solution. But remember, since volume changes with temperature, molarity also changes with temperature. So we usually write molarity along with the temperature conditions. Next is molality. Molality is quite similar to molarity, but instead of liters of solution, it uses kilograms of solvent. So the formula is moles of solute divided by mass of solvent in kg. It is represented by small m as shown. For example, 0.5 moles of sugar dissolved in 0.25 kg water, then the molality equals to 0.5 divided by 0.25, which is equal to 2 mole per kg. Since mass doesn't change with temperature, molality stays constant. That's why it's preferred in topics like boiling point elevation and freezing point depression. Next is normality, another way to express the concentration, especially used in titration problems. It tells us how many equivalents of solute are present per liter of solution. Normality represented by capital N is equal to equivalents of solute divided by volume in liters. For example, 1 molar H2SO4 equals to 2 normal, because 1 mole of H2SO4 gives 2 H plus ions. So the normality equals to molarity multiplied by N factor. Its practical unit used in acid, base and redox titrations. Then is mole fraction. Now the mole fraction, this tells us what fraction of total moles belongs to one compound. So mole fraction of any component, for example A, will be equal to number of moles of A divided by total number of moles. For example, if we mix 1 mole of ethanol with 3 moles of water, then the mole fraction of ethanol will be 1 divided by 1 plus 3, that is 1 divided by 4, which is equal to 0.25, and the mole fraction of water will be 3 divided by 4, which is equals to 0.75. The sum of all mole fractions in a solution always equals 1. Mole fraction is dimensionless, but it's super useful in vapor pressure and Raoult's law calculations. Next is percentage concentration. Sometimes concentration is expressed in percentage form. There are 3 common ways. First is mass percent, represented by W by W percent, that is equal to mass of solute divided by mass of solution multiplied by 100. Next is volume percent, V by V percent, that is volume of solute divided by volume of solution multiplied by 100. Next is mass volume percent, W by V percent, that is mass of solute in grams by 100 ml solution. For example, 10 gram NaCl in 100 gram of solution equals to 10% W by W, or 10 ml ethanol in 100 ml solution equals to 10% volume by volume percent. Simple, right? Next is equivalent weight. Equivalent weight is another quantity connected to mole concept. It's the mass of substance that reacts with or supplies 1 mole of H positive or 1 mole of electrons. Equivalent weight equals to molar mass divided by N factor. For example, for H2SO4, N equals to 2. So equivalent weight equals to 98 divided by 2, which is equals to 49. This idea helps in titration calculations and redox reactions. Next is volume relationships, that is Gay-Lussac's law. At constant temperature and pressure, gases combine in simple volume ratios That's Gay-Lussac's law of combining volumes. For example, 2H2 plus O2 give rise to 2H2O. Here's the ratio of gas volumes is 2:1:2. And remember, at STP, 1 mole of any gas equals to 22.4 liters. Next is density and molar mass. Gas density also relate to moles through this equation, which is M equals to dRT upon P. So if a gas has density 1.96 gram per liter at STP, then the molar mass will be equal to 1.96 into 22.4, that is equals to 43.9 gram per mole, which is close to carbon dioxide. This is handy formula for identifying the unknown gases. Next is atomicity. Atomicity just means the number of atoms in a molecule. Oxygen has 2 atoms, so that is diatomic. P4 has 4 atoms, tetratomic. S8 has 8 atoms, octatomic. It's small concept but helps when calculating molar masses of elements. Next is mass, mole and particle relationship. Here's a golden triangle for the mole concept that is shown. So mass, moles, number of particles and gas volume all linked beautifully. For example, 2 grams H2 means N equals to 2 upon 2, which is equals to 1 mole, that is 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 molecules, that is 22.4 liters gas at STP. Everything connects through the mole. Next are dilution and titration relations. When dilute or titrate the solutions, these relations make your life easier. M1V1 equals to M2V2 and N1V1 equals to N2V2. For example, if you dilute 1 molar H2SO4 to twice the volume, the new molarity becomes 0.5 molar. Simple but powerful. So everything we learned today, from the molecular formula to limiting reagents and from molarity to mole fraction, all of it revolves around moles, the bridge between the atomic world and the real measurable world. Once you truly understand the mole, every numerical problem in chemistry becomes logical. That's it for today's lecture, my friends. If you found this session helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to Deep Chemistry, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss a concept explained this clearly again. Drop your questions in the comments. I personally reply to as many as I can. Until next time, keep learning, stay curious, and let chemistry make sense.